Looks like everybody's here. Everybody's ready. Florida State week. Coach Willie Taggart, first year. Give a little bit of a report there. Last week, obviously, they had a big win against Louisville. We're behind most of the game, and they kept fighting, and they found a way to win it. It was impressive how they did it. They rallied from a 24-14 deficit in the fourth quarter and ended up winning the thing. Had a couple picks at the end of the game, and of course, Francois was spectacular. He threw for 294 total and 4 TDs, but in the second half, 11 for 15 for over 200 yards. And of course, that last drive was outstanding. But as we know, he's a tough football player. He's a very accurate passer. He's a great leader for them, and as he goes, they go. Murray, number 8, caught 2 TD passes in the game last week. He had a game winner, and he's caught a ball, I think, in 35. He's either played 35 in a row, or I think he's played in 35 games in a row. Terry, redshirt freshman, hauled in 3 catches for 71 in that ball game, had a 55-yard touchdown reception. And I'm talking about last week. They had 3 turnovers last week against Louisville and 2 picks in the final 2 minutes, as I mentioned. So offensively for the year, averaging 22 points a game, 373 yards per game. They're third in the ACC in passing yards, 275. Francois has thrown for 1,300 yards, 9 TDs. Cam Akers has rushed for 316 yards and a score. Murray ranks third in the ACC with 25 catches. McKitty, their tight end, has 15 catches, 153 yards, doing a great job. He's got 2 touchdowns. They've had 7 guys catch 10 catches or more, which is impressive. And their offensive line, they're still, they've been starting different lineups every week. I'm not sure if they've settled on what they want to do, but they're playing very well now. Defensively, they're averaging 24 points a game, 385 yards a game. They rank third in the ACC in rushing defense, and they've allowed just 6 rushing touchdowns throughout the year. They've had 6 interceptions this year. They've recorded 14 sacks. No one has converted on a 4th down yet on them. Burns has had 19 tackles, 5 sacks, 6.5 tackles for loss, fumble recovery. Number 99, outstanding player. Number 5, Jackson, has 29 tackles, 3 tackles for loss. And Nasser Rildeen ranks 4th in the ACC with 40 tackles, leads the team in tackles. Myers, number 14, has 20 tackles, leads the defensive backs, has 4 tackles for loss, 2 sacks, and 2 picks, so he's playing well. Ricky Aguayo has made 4 out of 7 kicks, never missed an extra point. Tyler, their punter, is averaging 43 yards. He leads the ACC with 10 punts of over 50 yards, so he can boom it. He also handles the kickoffs for them. I'm talking about Tyler, 18 out of 21. He's knocked out of the yard. There have been touchbacks. Matthews, number 29, is averaging 9.6 on his punt returns, 9.6 yards. And Grant, number 10, is averaging 22.3 on 7 kickoff returns. So that is the scouting report in a nutshell. We all know what a big game it is. We all know what's at stake, and we're excited about playing it. I'm sure they are too. So with that, we'll open it up.
Mark, because obviously the rule now with 4 games before redshirting, is it possible Amon might redshirt but still be able to help you late in the year?
That's a good question. I guess if things don't get better, it could happen. Depends on how long this thing goes, but that's a possibility. He's not able this week, though.
You didn't mention the captains this week.
You know what? You're exactly right. Let's see if my mind can do it. Tyler Gauthier on offense. Jaquan was on defense. Gerald was on defense, and Travis Homer was special teams. Thank you for the help over there. And thanks for reminding me. I usually do that.
Mark, to be able to have Jaquan, I mean, he was going today, and to be able to have him back is so different. Just thanks for the.
He's a great player. I mean, he was preseason All-American for a good reason, and mostly because of his production, just tremendous production as a tackler, and got great ball skills, and just a super competitor who loves his team and loves football. He just a fun guy to be around, and he's kind of a heart and soul type of guy. We got more than him that has that type of attribute, but there aren't many that are better than him in all those categories.
Mark, obviously, this is Nikosi's first big game, so to speak.
That last game was big, I can promise you. You asked him if it was a big game or not last week. It was big.
Right, huge game.
Promise you.
Big rivalry game.
Yes.
Do you have to do anything different with a young quarterback like that?
Yeah. I don't think so. I think we just teach him what to do and have him focus on his job, and that's the only thing that's productive as far as letting your mind going anywhere other than what do I do on this play, what do I do in this coverage, what do I do, in this combo play. I mean, that's what he's got to focus on, and the better he does his job, the more confidence he'll have. Excuse me.
Mark, we want to win this game if it was at Hard Rock or Doak or
Right.
Alaska or anywhere else. But how important is it? And this has been since 04, since Miami.
Yeah, it's been 04. 04 since Miami's won at home in this series. It's not very good. It's about as bad as the 7 losses in a row that we were dealing with going into last year's game. So that's a meaningful bit of history that we need to kind of change the course of it.
What differences under Taggart?
I'm sorry?
What differences do you see at Florida State under Taggart?
Well, offensively, they're more of a spread system. Defensively, they're a lot like Pitt. What they do defensively, they're more multiple than what Pitt does. But the top 2 things they probably like to do are things that they were running at Michigan State and people running and what they've been running at Pitt. But a little bit defensive. Different defensive philosophy and the things that they do. Special teams, I'll be honest with you, I'd have to ask Coach Hartley how much different it is from a year ago, but it's new, it's different. And the kids are learning new stuff, and the coaches are learning what the players can and can't do, and so I'm sure I'm sure it's a little bit of a process for them now, but now that they're 5-6 games into the season, and gaining confidence in what they're doing, especially a great comeback like that gives everybody a big boost of confidence that they're on the right track, and I think they are on the right track, and they have great players, and the coaching's outstanding, and once they get a feel of exactly what they're doing and how they're doing it, they're going to be really outstanding.
Mark, how secure or insecure would you be if this game came down to a kick, notably a field goal or maybe an extra point?
Yeah, whatever it takes, I mean, you just got to prepare the best you can, whether it's a snapper or a holder or a kicker or a guy that's in charge of the A gap or B gap to, they might overload a spot and try to run a couple guys over and get a block point. I mean, that happened to us in the game last week. Very similar to the spot that Florida State got us my first year, just extra point. You think you take that for granted, but you can't. So at least, with what happened 2 years ago and with what happened last week, there's got to be everybody, having an awareness of how crucial just that extra point can be.
How do you think Bubba has been doing?
Bubba's doing well. Bubba's, he knew the deal. He knew Badge was leaving, and we needed a kicker, and we recruited him to come in and start and be the guy, and he's done well. He's doing pretty darn good on kickoffs too. He's knocking most of them out, and the ones that don't get out are pretty high, where we can come down and cover them well. So I think he's done a nice job.
Mark, other than Bobby, I think Andrews, I can't think of too many other people that have been in more of these games than you have. And obviously, with the perspective of being on both sides.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a lot of great rivalries in college football,
Right.
obviously, but what's different about this one?
Really and truly, just the amount of great players that have been in this series and how many great players have been on the field at the same time over the years from both teams, I think is kind of mind-boggling at times. If you look at some of those games, you're like, just incredible the amount of first-round draft picks, second-round draft picks that played in any one given game. Now, one might have been a freshman or a sophomore, junior, or senior on both sides of the ball, but I'm talking about massive numbers, 20s and 30s of, in one game, that many first and second round draft picks. Pretty impressive.
Speaking of one game, game stand out?
I'm trying to think. There's a few heartbreakers when I was at Florida State going against Miami. I guess the first wide right, is that what it was? Wide right? That hurt. And then the year that after the Seminole wrap, that was painful. I was there at Florida State at the time, and I don't know, we got whacked 31-0 or something crazy like that. Those stick out.
You're biased, obviously, but
yeah.
Is there a better rivalry?
Oh, there's some great rivalries. I think right this minute, I wouldn't say everybody's looking at this game saying it's going to decide who's in the college football playoff. So I think for it to be really, really great, it's got to get back to that, and I think it will get back to that, but it's not there right yet. Yeah, she was about to start.
I asked you about recruiting. How important is this game?
Yes.
Recruiting is it? And I'm thinking of the players that are deciding between both teams.
Yeah, they're definitely in recruiting. We recruit a lot of players they recruit, and but there's also, maybe there's kids from out of state that just have not really seen the atmosphere that we can produce at Hard Rock, and we'll have a few official visits. We normally like to wait till the season's over as much as possible, but sometimes we'll do a few in season, and we'll have a few for this game. So that'll be big. It'll, the atmosphere is going to be exactly what we hope for. So.
Well, one thing with both programs kind of started climbing the ladder around the same time, the early 80s.
Right.
Should maybe a little bit later than that. How much did that help? They were always on the schedule for both of you guys. Now you've got this other guy, whether you're from down south or up north.
Right.
Getting better and knowing they were obviously playing every year. Did they did you guys kind of push each other?
Well, yeah, I think both programs do push each other for sure. Competition does that in football, by position, but it also does it by teams. I think one thing that sticks out to me in this rivalry was, especially in the beginning time when you're talking about when both teams started to become great, was Coach Snellenberger and Coach Bowden both, and how they kind of understood that you almost had to market each other a little bit. And even when they went head to head, they did a few things. When they put the boxing gloves on and just, they kind of got it. They both got it that, in order for us to be great, both teams to be great, we got to create this adversity or create this this competition and this rivalry. And I think a big part of the reason why the series got where it got was because of those two men.
Mark, what did that touch last year do for Daryl?
Daryl certainly made a big play at Georgia Tech. I don't know. I'm sure it was awesome for him and it's awesome for us. He didn't play many plays that game, got in there and made the biggest play of the game and the biggest play of the series in a long time for us anyway. And so I know his confidence went up and our confidence in him went up. Daryl is a really good football player, a guy that we trust.
How much were Shaq and Juwan able to go through today?
Yeah, they practiced. They did. Yeah, they practiced.
Mark, the defensive line, you lost a lot of good defensive linemen.
Yeah.
Last
Sure.
season. Joe Jackson and Garvin.
Right.
They had great games.
They're pretty good. Yeah. And then we missed out on Rousseau. Rousseau could have been in there helping us, and hopefully he'll get healthy soon. And I don't even know where he's at right now, to be honest with you, as far as his rehab. But one day he'll be there doing great things too, I think. And but Gerald Willis, I think, was the biggest key for us. you know, maybe, you know, God saw the big picture and it meant it for good that, you know, he had to delay his senior season last year, and then all of a sudden he became a senior this year. If he was a senior last year, he wouldn't be here right now. You know, or if he played last year like he's playing now, he probably wouldn't be here today. And that would have been a huge hole for us. But now he is here, and Beth, of course, is doing great, and it's allowing some younger guys, John Ford, and you know, guys to get in there. Of course, getting Tito in here was big, graduate transfer. I mean, Tito and G, if they were gone, those two seniors were gone right now, we'd be okay, but we wouldn't be the same as we are right now.
Anything specifically though on Joe Jackson? How's he been doing?
Great. I mean, Joe's doing great. He's, you know, he's like the rest of them. I mean, Coach Diaz has done a great job of creating a culture of guys playing hard, guys playing fast, guys playing physical, guys being relentless in their pursuit of a pass rush as far as on the edge. And Coach Jess Simpson is a great fundamental teacher, and he's great at, you know, energizing these guys too. So, you know, he hadn't missed a beat, and I think his game has grown and advanced.
A couple more guys.
Mark, can I ask you about Denzel Moore?
Yeah.
I guess he's graduated.
Yeah, another graduate transfer. He's actually got 2 seasons to play. He graduated in 3 years, 3.5 or whatever it was, and he got here late in the summer because of that, because he had to you know, finish up spring and summer to get graduated. But he's got 2 years of eligibility, and he's a quick study. You know, I mean, he played SEC football, played a good bit at Tennessee, and so he knew what it was like to play and start. I don't know if he started, he probably did. But I know we saw tape of him in the game. And, you know, most blocking schemes are similar. You know, the zone blocking is similar, and the power, one-back power, and a lot of things that we do, the stretch. A lot of those things are the same. They may have a little different terminology of the technique that your coach might call something. A certain blocking scheme might be called one thing one place, and other thing another thing at a different place. But you know, he was able to, you know, this ace block is what I used to call whatever it was in Tennessee. You know, so it was pretty easy for him to learn and pick things up, and really easy enough in that he's able to play both guards. He's a smart kid.
I know you recruited about high school. With graduate transfer, how tough is that to do year to year to look for pieces and grab that?
Yeah, I think right now we're kind of like in a need basis with graduate transfers. We don't. I mean, we're not sitting there actively trying to scour the nation, but if we know we got a hole to fill with some maturity, we need some maturity. And I mean, I don't want a graduate transfer to come in and not play. I mean, those guys, they got, usually most of them got 1 year to go. So, you know, you want a guy to come in that you need and you know is going to play, and it's going to be a good experience for him. And because that's what breeds the ability to bring another guy in and say, hey, we brought so-and-so in and so-and-so in, and he got to play. I mean, Marquez Williams and Colbert, you know, they came in my first year and both played well, both started. You know, both got drafted, I think. You know, so the more that happens, the more kids will be like, you know what, Miami's serious about me having an opportunity to come help them.
Coaches are saying that this has become an unintended consequence of the 4-game rule that
yeah, there are
out there, not just Kevin Bryant, but they might be all there might be other guys we haven't heard of that linemen are.
Yeah, guys that have not redshirted yet in their career are kind of seeing that as an option to make a move if they feel like they need to make a move. And yeah, was anybody kind of predicting that? I don't think so, but
might you start looking a little bit? You don't scout. I know it's not like recruiting, but
yeah.
You keep your eyes on it.
Well, if you hear of a kid saying he's gonna, I mean, if you do it mid-season, it's announced. Everybody knows. You know, if some guy, you know, waits till the end of his season and he's a graduate and he all of a sudden decides he's going to be a graduate transfer, you kind of, I mean, it's hard not to hear about something. You're going to hear about it. And when you hear about it, you're like, this guy might, you know, he might help us win. And, you know, do we have the need? Do we have an opportunity for him? And if so, let's talk to him. You know, once you get the release and all the stuff you got to do.
And are your antennae up just in terms of being aware if any kid on your roster is thinking of leaving for lack of playing time?
Well, I mean, we don't know, and we can't control that. You just have to recruit, and hopefully you've got a situation where guys want to be here. And you know, I'm not saying Bryant didn't want to be at Clemson. He just he felt like it was the right thing to do, and so you never know what's going to happen. And I think everybody will be more aware that things could happen. You might anticipate it more, because I'm sure a few of these things just came out of nowhere. It's like, oh man, we didn't think of that one. And you know, but now that it's here, I'm sure people will be more aware that it could happen, and you got to recruit that way. Recruit for that.
How much easier, or tougher, I should say, do you think it might be for Nicosia and easier for opponents, let's say, because now they have more game film on them, now they know who's the guy?
Well, yeah, I mean, the more you know about a player, the better you can try to defend him. He did play a lot a couple of weeks ago, and then last week he started the whole game. We only threw it 12 times, only had 45 plays, and we took a knee on the 46th play, so didn't get a lot of reps. But, you know, you could see a lot of his skill set in the amount of time he's played and try to decide how you want to try to defend him. So, I mean, I look at it as the more he plays, the more experience he has, and the more comfortable he's going to be. But certainly defenses know more, and they'll have a little better idea of how they want to approach it.
Thanks, everybody.
All right, you have a good day.